Those who preach diversity and tolerance are often the least likely to actually want it. What they actually want is uniformity. The thing is, you cannot have diversity without disagreement. Diversity means having quite a variety of opinions being shared. A diverse community is a community of people, many of whom do not believe in the same thing. In order for diversity to work and disagreements to be accepted, you need actual tolerance, which means I might not like what this person says, but I'm still going to put up with it. I'm not going to attack that person and label that person, slander that person. I'm not going to try to convert that person to my point of view. And instead, I'm going to accept that person as being different from me and yet still valuable. That is what actual tolerance is. You cannot have a peacefully diverse group without tolerance. It doesn't work. Tolerance, for example, would be, oh, I know that there's a Buddhist temple down the street in one direction, and a couple miles away there's an Islamic center, and I myself struggle with what I believe. Or I might be of a particular religion that's different, and I'm not going to be upset about people who are practicing Buddhism or Islam, for example. Tolerance is doing what I've been doing as an ESL tutor. That's English as a second language. I don't care what the student's religious belief is. There are many refugees in the city where I live, and many refugees show up in our class. I'm in multiple classes, actually. And some of them, especially the women, are obviously Muslim. Now, if I were really uptight about that and I saw a woman wearing a hijab, a headscarf, I wouldn't tutor her. Or if I had a major problem with Hispanics and they assigned a Mexican student to me, I wouldn't like that. But I'm a tolerant person. I care about my students. We have a diverse group of people, and there is tolerance and even mutual respect and appreciation for each other's cultures. But the far left, they only want certain people to have free speech. And if you only want certain people to have free speech, then it's not free. Now, I find any form of white supremacist nonsense to be abhorrent. I know you're looking at me right now and you see a bald white man. Well, that's your prejudice if you think of every bald white man. He's going to be some kind of nutcase neo-Nazi. Now, I'm mostly of Dutch descent, and the Nazis were not exactly kind to the Dutch people. A lot of my own people from the Netherlands were carted off to camps, not just Jews either. So I have my own personal reasons to be anti-Nazi, as well as all the other reasons. However, here in America, we have the right to assembly and to free speech. So unfortunately, you might say, well, the Nazis and the other white supremacists, the Klan, they do have a right. They have a rally. And if we were to ban them, what group next would be banned? Well, the answer to that question is simple. It is the progressives that are trying to clamp down on free speech. So they would be more than happy to make it illegal to demonstrate in favor of traditional marriage They would shut down any rally that's pro-Christian or pro-life. They don't want that. They do not want Christians, and I should say conservative Christians, because so many Christians have caved in to the progressive movement. It's just kind of disgusting, really. Even if I'm probably not a Christian myself, I think Christians, in a way, are the guardians, or should be the guardians, of a more traditional morality, but mostly they have not been. Catholics, yes. Orthodox Christians, yes, I think. Not sure about them. Protestants, it really depends on the church. But a lot of them have caved in too. So what is really desired by these counter-protesters is a uniformity of thought and speech. And if you disagree with these people, you're labeled a bigot. Now, I submit to you the idea that if I were a religious person and I believed the Bible, and I thought that homosexuality was wrong and gay marriage was wrong, that if I said that, this would be labeled as hate speech. Now, as you've seen in some of my other videos, I've been struggling with Christian faith in various ways, and the fact is I'm not a Christian anymore. I haven't been for quite a while, no matter how hard I've tried. I'm just using this as an example. You say something that's politically incorrect that these people don't like, look out. Even by making these videos, if anyone actually sees them, I'm making myself out to be a target. A lot of these people don't think. They react. And instead of having a more traditional religion, the progressive cause or causes have become their religion. Some people need to fanatically believe in something and take action. And religion does not satisfy them, so they become really political. And so we end up with, for example, there was a rally, not the one in Charlottesville. I think this one was in Boston, and it was small. It was a free speech rally, just coming out in favor of free speech. I don't remember the man's name. I saw it in the paper earlier today. This was not a white man. He had a name very typical of many people living in India. I think he's probably an American citizen himself, but he's of Indian descent. Now, a dude whose parents or grandparents came from India is not a white nationalist, and he was the leader of the rally. And he said he didn't really care what you stood for as long as you stood for freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom of speech. You could be for Trump or anti-Trump. You could be pro-religious or not. The point was just to keep an open mind, and that's what the little group was for, just to say, hey, let's have free speech in this country. And tons more people than were there for the free speech rally showed up to protest free speech. There was a large counter-protest of people saying, no, we don't want free speech. And they were lumping this group in with the Nazis. This is how uninformed these people are. So if there's any rally, even encouraging free speech and freedom of thought, this is threatening to people who do not want you to have freedom of thought. They need you to think like they do. They demand it. This is a form of mental, psychological, intellectual totalitarianism. It is here now, and it is going to get worse. Hear me now, believe me now, or wait and believe me later. But this is how it is. This is the culture of America today. Well, I stand for free speech. I'm anti-Nazi, but I believe they have the right to speak in a public square, as long as they are nonviolent. I think anyone should have that right, because that's what right is given in the Constitution. One more example. Consider what has happened in Berkeley during this year. Berkeley, the University of Berkeley in California, in the city of Berkeley, was the home of the free speech movement in the 60s. But these days, that's not what it's known for. It is so liberal, and the people on campus and those around it, maybe even those coming from out of state, they go crazy if a conservative speaker is flown in to give a little talk. It might not even be for a large group. Now, I don't like Ann Coulter. I'm not much of a conservative myself. I am a moderate person. I tend to lean a little bit more to the left than to the right. But I'm not a hardcore progressive. And I'm fine with it, even someone I don't like Ann Coulter, speaking at a university. And then there was another person brought in. It might have been Ben Sass. I can't remember. It was one of these other conservatives. There was a guy who was being brought in to speak about the conservative viewpoint. And both times, people showed up to protest, and they even started fires and started a riot because they didn't want some people with opposing viewpoints to show up in Berkeley, California. And both of these people's events were canceled. So, this is what's going on. Now, when I'm on Facebook, I'm not trying to piss anybody off. I don't post any anti-progressive stuff. I'm in the middle anyway. There's no one that really has my back. I feel like there are maybe some moderates out there, but it seems the people that are really vocal, so to speak, on Facebook really have a presence. Are really hardcore Trump fans, and the anti-immigrant conservatives on one side, and the hardcore progressives on the other side. And I'm not either of those people. I've kept my Facebook posts neutral. I am a photographer, and I mostly do nature photography, a bit of architecture here and there. And I've done some work for various bands in the area. Blues bands, Celtic bands, rock bands, whatever. And I just post stuff I think that anyone will like, regardless of their political or religious ideology. I just keep it a safe place, a happy sort of spot, my place on Facebook. But I just felt the need to speak out. So I'm putting this stuff anonymously on YouTube. Vrijdenker is a Dutch word for free thinker. Now, I'm obviously not completely anonymous. You can see my face. But I didn't feel like using my name or identifying what city I live in, because some of these people who are progressive are terribly evil, and I am concerned that they'll come after me because they don't like the fact that I'm pointing out that they don't actually want free speech. But that's what I'm doing. We'll see how life unfolds. I don't know if these videos will garner much views or not, but at least I feel like I should speak my truth as an independent person, and not someone who has wrapped himself up in some ideology. So, as far as your free speech goes, well, if you think differently than the progressives do, and you speak out at all, look out. Your rights are likely going to continue to erode, and you will quite likely be persecuted. And it's just going to get worse, I think. Good luck.